Dave the Diver is a PC game, but I hope everyone finds this session helpful no matter which platform you are working on. So, what is Dave the Diver? I guess everyone here knows about it, but just in case, let me briefly explain. Dave the Diver is a marine adventure game where you can capture fish as ingredient to run your sushi bar. So basically, it's a combination of adventure and management. A lot of charming characters appear in Dave the Diver. To introduce our main protagonist, Dave, as you know, is a chubby diver who loves to eat sushi with a strong sense of justice and big heart. Cobra is a former arms dealer that actually first appeared in my previous title, Evil Factory. He has dreamed of becoming a millionaire by running the sushi bar. And Bancho, our fan favorite character, is a sushi chef who believes that all fish has a unique taste and that chef's role is to make those flavors into great dishes. The story takes place at the Blue Hole, inhabited by fish from all over the world, which makes it perfect place for Bancho. We took this idea from the anime One Piece. Besides the main gameplay loop of adventure and sushi bar operation, the game has a bunch of fun side content, including boss battle against giant creature, seahorse racing, farming, and even an Instagram-like app. Sometimes it works within the game story, and sometimes it's completely standalone minigame. Dave the Diver was first shown to the world through early access on October 27, 2022. After 8 months of improvement, the game finally had its official release. We developed the game for 2 years and 10 months up to early access. We started out as a small team of 5, and at our largest, we had 27 developers working on this project. It's been over a year since our official launch, and we have achieved quite a lot. On Steam, Nintendo Switch, and recently PlayStation, we sold over 4 million copies. As for PlayStation, we launched the game on the PS Plus catalog, and as far as I know, Dave the Diver is the most played game in 2024. We also earned the most played tag on Metacritic with a score of 90. On top of that, not only were we nominated for almost every major game award, but we also brought home the BAFTA for game design. You know, we were nominated along with the Zelda and Spider-Man. I felt like I was dreaming. It was truly an honor. Many people ask us if we knew that the game would be this successful. Short answer, no, not at all. Let's be honest here, there were a lot more reasons for Dave to fail than to succeed. Just look at this. There were a lot of things we did for the first time. It was the first time the dev team made a single-player game, and for the business team, it was also their first time working on the PC console project. We had no idea how to promote the game. And we were targeting an audience outside of Korea, but all of us are Korean. Even worse, most of the teammates had never worked together before. Most of them were newly hired. If I were an investor, I would not have invested in such a project. There was no visible element of success. Luckily enough, we were given the chance to start this project, but we were still unsure whether we could really grab users' attention and eventually release a game that they will love. So we set up these core pillars to make our game stand out. We didn't have a certain genre we were specializing in, so we decided to focus on gameplay elements that we could manage the best, which boiled down to this list. First, unique concept. There were some ocean-themed games in the market, but they were mostly 3D games that showed a more realistic underwater environment. We wanted to take a different route and create a very arcadey vibe with a 2D pixel art. But if we made everything in 2D, it would have been too plain, and it would not have portray the depths of the ocean as we wanted. So we boldly decided to use 3D for the environment. As you can see in our first prototype here, it was very tough to make things look smooth. It's very ugly. So we had to invest a lot of time trying to find a good balance between 2D and 3D. And I thought we need a unique character that didn't overlap with other games, but still relatable. So we came up with a chubby diver guy, an African-American sushi chef who's into samurai spirit. Very unique, but still looks somewhat familiar. Well, this is the initial version of Dave, Cobra, and Bancho. They look pretty different from the current version, but they still maintain the same funky flavor. Second is intuitive design. So what do I mean by intuitive design? It means the elements in the game speak for themselves. Doesn't need a lot of explanation. When the team first started designing the game, we also consider setting it on outer space. But in space, we are not familiar with the creature or environment. So what is this planet? Will this creature attack us or not? Many things are unfamiliar. It requires a lot of extra explanation. So we decide to go with something we already know, the ocean. This makes the game look more intriguing and familiar. Another example of intuitive design is using real-world materials. In many games, players recover health with a potion or herb, but this is more like a common agreement among gamers. Entering dungeon to collect monster eyeball to craft a magic shield is not something we do in real life, right? So we wanted to use real-life material because this reduces the need for explanation. The game here is called Earthbound, and it was a game that I really liked as a kid. In this game, you can ride a bike to move faster, and you can refill your stamina by eating a burger. It's very intuitive. You can quickly understand what's going on. Back to Dave the Diver, here you can catch fish and prepare sushi with it. You immediately know what you will get. In terms of the sushi design, in reality, of course, they don't actually look like that and are mostly red or white meat, but we made it this way to be intuitive. Even though we kept things intuitive, we still need to deliver new mechanics to users. This is the part where lengthy explanation and boring tutorial often come into play. So we decided to use characters to explain complicated things instead of inserting bothersome tutorial that kill the buzz. For example, we wanted users to explore deeper beyond the shallow waters. However, users continued to stay at the entry point where they could safely capture fish. To combat this, we added character with some similarity to a well-known monster trainer like this, and put him in charge of the collectible fish cart. This cart system pushes users to go deeper and actively search for new fish to complete the collection. Player could immediately understand the system with this character and get excited to catch them all. Our third strategy is various side content. The nature of underwater fishing is not as dynamic as a regular action game, so I thought we need something more to keep users engaged. We decided to add more side content and minigame to prevent the gameplay from becoming repetitive. Although it increased the development cost to a certain level, it definitely encouraged users to keep going to find new content. Another benefit of having various side content is users can adjust their gameplay pace on their own. They can enjoy different minigames as much as they wish before going diving or serving customers at the sushi bar. As mentioned before, we are not a team that specializes in a certain genre of game. Instead of making a certain element deep and complex, we opt to create a variety of elements and place them where they fit the best. Like in this article, received many comments that Dave the Diver is a game that keeps on giving. And this is exactly what we intended. Lastly, we added a little bit of humor to spice up the game. There's a comedic dynamic used in Japanese stand-up comedy called boke and tsukomi. There's a boke part, which tells a dumb or mean story, and the other one, tsukomi, butts in. It creates a pretty exciting and hilarious dynamic. So we tweaked this dynamic and applied to the game. Some NPC are quite mean or needy, which we can call the boke role, and we made Dave tackle this, similar to the tsukomi role. When this works well, a unique relationship is created between characters. In turn, users grow more engaged, like, oh, what this girl's backstory, or I want to serve food this guy want, and shut him up. This gives player extra motivation to complete mission and progress through the story. To further engage user with the character, we also use a lot of cutscenes. Since it's not easy to express detailed emotion and personality with a small pixel illustration, this was a very good way for us to make players understand the inherent charm of each character. As a side note, a lot of YouTubers really liked the humor in our game and posted reaction video after the release, which also helped us to gain more attention. Okay, so we put these elements together and the game started to look good. But we came to think, how can we prove that we made the right decision? We went through a lot of internal discussion, but it was hard to be sure when the team was already so immersed in our own game. So the conclusion was, let's ask users. As a first step, we decided to conduct many gameplay tests. We probably tested the game every 3 months with minor tests in between. 3 times internally within the company, 2 times externally, and 2 times overseas. Aside from bug fixing, we also learned a lot, like how users react to our game concept and story, and whether they enjoy our side contents or just want to skip it. Although we never changed our core mechanics, we refined our interface and adjusted the pacing of the game through these multiple tests. After going through the whole playtest process, we finally revealed our game demo to the public for the first time at Steam Next Fest in 2022. We went live streaming and played the game ourselves. At first, we thought maybe 100 people would watch, but we ended up with over 7,500 concurrent viewers, which was a huge surprise. It was the very first time doing the live streaming in my life, and on top of that, I had to speak in English, so I was very panicked. Nevertheless, Steam Next Fest helped us to gain a lot of wish lists, as you can see with the chart. And we could gather honest feedback from users as we added a survey page in the demo. At the same time, we opened our Discord server for the first time along with the demo launch. In the beginning, we had a few hundred members, but through consistent and dedicated communication, we now have over 50,000 members. From the very start, we engaged directly with our users. And even after 2 years, I still talk to them directly with my not-so-perfect English every day, like this. This approach not only allows us to directly hear user feedback, but also help build trust within our community. Every day, we gather user feedback on Discord, Reddit, Steam, and other platforms. We consistently discuss what can be improved and what new bugs have been discovered. While we cannot implement every suggestion, we try to explain as much as we can when something is difficult to apply. For example, the ultra-wide monitor support, this is something we technically couldn't do. Initially, we worried users might get upset or leave if we say no, but they mostly appreciate our honest answer when we communicate directly with them. Sometimes we gain unexpected insight through discussion with users. During internal tests, the sushi restaurant aspect of our game received lower rating compared to the diving part. So we introduced the game as a casual ocean adventure game, like casual version of Subnautica. But after we released the demo, a lot of streamers introduced the game as a sushi bar tycoon and enjoyed the restaurant management aspect, which made us reconsider what part of the game we should highlight. So we decided to feature it more on our promotional video and increase its visibility on our Steam page, just like this. The demo feedback also told us things that we never thought of. First, we recognized that certain jokes about physical appearance, like fat joke, could be seen as more offensive in different cultures, so we adjusted it. We also removed specification on a certain region, as they could be misleading. These changes were all based on community feedback. So after addressing all the issues that we found in the demo, we moved on to early access. So what is early access? As shown on the screen, early access is a stage in development where users participate and provide feedback through the community to help improve the game quality. We should also consider what early access is not. According to Valve, early access is not a crowdfunding method for raising money or a pre-purchase. To add my 2 cents, early access is not an excuse to sell an unfinished product. Yes, of course, the game wouldn't be fully developed at this stage, but this doesn't mean that it's okay to deliver a low-quality product. A buggy and broken game makes it difficult for users to provide accurate feedback. And since everyone reads reviews before they buy these days, they're less likely to be engaged in the first place. Then how do we achieve a successful early access? First, we should prioritize quality over quantity. Next, we should make sure to listen to user feedback as much as we can. Clear and direct communication is a must. One thing I want to emphasize is the quality of life improvement, and game balance should be the main focus. Many games try to add more content, like new character or new story chapter during the early access, but please save this for live service later on. Early access is about refining the current version through bug fixes and improvements. Baldur's Gate 3, the ultimate game of the year of 2023, surprisingly received mediocre rating of around 6 to 7 during early access. But Larian Studio spent 3 years with only the first chapter of their game open to the public, making numerous improvements. With this as a foundation, they developed a later chapter, and it turned into the masterpiece, as you all know. For Dave the Diver, during our 8-month early access period, we conducted 25 improvement updates, almost 3 updates every month. Throughout this period, we did not introduce any story or content update. And major updates were presented through detailed video on YouTube in Korean and English. While we didn't have a large user base during early access, we refrain from marketing activity or events to increase the numbers. We instead decide to focus on the user who wanted to talk with us rather than the user number itself. User feedback gave us a clear outline of what we had to work on. Here are some key updates we added to the game based on the feedback. First on the list was key mapping. As Dave the Diver is a game where a lot of different genres are incorporated, we had decided not to add key mapping. But we received over 100 Steam community comments on this, which pushed us to update this feature. Next was the Beluga Taxi. Many users told us about how traveling in the Sea People village was inconvenient due to the large size of the village. So we gave them an option to move faster. We also added a sorting function to the ingredient list in the sushi restaurant so users could find the ingredient faster and easier. Additionally, we added Mac and Steam Deck support so more users could enjoy the game as well. There are these are the things we never considered before. Communication with users can provide new insight and have to think outside the box. We promised ourselves during early access, even if someone quit because the game is not fun enough for them, but let's make sure no one quit because of inconvenience. Valve sent us email congratulating us on the official launch. They didn't exactly mention why they decided to promote our game, but I believe Valve was very impressed with our endless effort to listen to community feedback. Through early access, we were able to build a loyal community, improve the game's quality, and introduce the game to many people. After thorough preparation, we proceeded with the full launch, achieving results beyond our expectation. As you can see here, the number had increased gradually after the release. It wasn't just a day one spike. It shows that even without a huge marketing campaign, staying focused on communication and improvement can help us to go viral. We've continued to listen to user feedback, not just before the launch, but throughout the entire journey since official release. We have been doing bug fixes at least once a month to keep the game running smoothly and have been adding new content about every 3 months. Our updates aren't limited to new mission or new fish, but also range from minor things like mouse cursor to technical improvement like reducing loading time like this. We also released 3 crossover DLC for free. These were mostly based on community feedback. For example, many people think our Godzilla crossover was very unexpected, but this was actually one of the most frequently requested crossovers from our community because Godzilla lives on the water. Talking with the community may seem easy, but it's very difficult to maintain consistency over a long period of time. But I would say this will give you valuable insight on what users want from your game. Also, some people ask why we give away free content to players who have already paid. But I think the continuously showing our love for the game is very important. It makes users engage more and helps to build a loyal community that look forward to your next project. Let's be honest, let's admit that we are not Nintendo. Nintendo has numerous successful launch experience, and I believe they have strong internal review system, many exceptional talented individuals, and Miyamoto Shigeru-san, who can supervise everything, which we all don't have. For ordinary devs like us, I believe the safest approach is to go through many stages of validation. Number 1, define the core element of your game. Find the reason why people should play your game when there are tons of other good games out there. Number 2, validate those elements through internal testing. I mean a lot of testing as much as you can. 3, communicate with real users through demo or early access to review your game objectively. I highly recommend opening a Discord server or a similar channel to talk with them directly. And last but not least, please don't rush. Keep improving the game quality until it's fully prepared. Please remember Miyamoto Shigeru-san's famous quote, "A delayed game is eventually good, but a rushy game is forever bad." I know it's hard to make enough profit during the early access, but there's only one shot for the official release. When you code it the final version, media will review it immediately and give you the final score. So please don't release your game in an undercooked state. Okay, before we wrap up, I would like to leave everyone with this. Share your vision and dream with your community. I know sometimes it's not easy to completely honest with the users, but please try as much as you can. When you're open with the community, they will guide you on how to achieve your vision. Because just like yourself, they are the one who hope your game to be awesome. Thank you for listening, and thank you again for inviting me to this awesome event in the beautiful city. I will remember this forever. Dhanyavad. Okay, we have plenty of time left. So, if there's any question?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. So you were giving a big emphasis on user feedback.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, how do you filter what feedback is useful and what is not useful through a process or something?
Very good question. We try not to do what user want right now. We would tell users that we are gathering feedback right now. So, sometimes user want this, but this is not the solution most of the time. So we try to listen to other users and try to overview what kind of feedback we get. So we try to find a solution that can solve these things altogether. And for solution, we never change our core pillar. Because I see some game that listen to user and change their core game mechanic. But I do know some successful case, but most of the case it fails because it's not everything built up upon this core pillar, right? So we tell user, hey, this is game design, so we probably not going to change. But for any quality of life improvement, if you feel inconvenient to play our game, we're definitely going to listen to you. This is the most honest communication.
Guys, we have some extra time for questions, so raise your hands and we try to get to all of you. Gentleman just pass it to him, please, there. The one in the white. We'll go around, but we can take extra questions. We have plenty of time.
Hello.
Hi.
So you told you are a 27 developer team, right?
Pardon?
You have a team of 27 developers?
Correct.
You are a team of 27 developers
Yeah, I'm
on
developing.
this project.
Yes.
So you would have tough times with ups and downs?
Pardon?
You would have tough times with ups and downs, right?
Ups and downs?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How do you motivate them through that?
Okay, this is a very tough story. Maybe some of you know, my team was on the Nexon. Nexon is a very big company, and then they mostly run the live free-to-play games like MapleStory. So we had a really hard time tell our execs that this is something we should do because market is changing because we cannot just do live ops. So it was very hard to get this opportunity to make game. But what we did was we tried to do a lot of tests because the testing result is the very strong evidence that users love this game. So, like, well, some exec want us to, sorry. Some exec want us to add multiplayer. Some exec want us to make it a mobile game, but we try to like insist, this is the best way we can make this game. So we kept testing, even though nobody asked, we testing. We got a good number and showed it to execs. And finally they say, okay, you can do whatever you want with this number. So that's how we went through these tough times. And like I mentioned in the presentation, the newly hired people, the worst part of our game for development was there was no reference. Because we are not referring a certain game, it's a combination of all different games. So in that case, we made a build almost every day and test it all together so that they start to understand what's good and what's not. I see some game designers, I guess most of you are game designer here, they write a long design document and takes a long time to make the build. And when it comes out, and then people start to get confused because there's so many elements in there. But what we do right now with the new story DLC and new project is we try to make build every day and play it. Because communication, even though we are all Korean, our communication is within all the same language, it's very hard to communicate on the game design stuff. So we make build, we play together, and we leave feedback together so that we can understand each other better.
Thanks, Joe, for the wonderful session.
Thank you.
Yeah. So my question is more regarding how did you and your team come up with the core design pillars that would make the game fun to play? What was the process that went into that?
Okay, so I see many game designer or business team focus on, what's trendy right now, what's in trend right now, but we try to focus on what people love. So when we first designed Dave the Diver, my team was in Jeju Island, which is Hawaii of Korea. So we see the ocean every day. And I thought it was like ocean just looked like a dungeon. If you're going to the ocean, it changes every day. There's different fish, and it depends on weather. Like it's sometimes very dangerous, sometimes very beautiful. So we all imagine, this is just like a dungeon. Maybe we can make it into a certain game. So we started this game as a roguelike game. Every time you go into dungeon, you get different stuff, and you pull out this item. And the next step for us is, hey, what should we do with these items? Because if we just pull some gold, silver from ocean, there's not much difference with other roguelike dungeon game. So we came up with the idea, capture fish and do something with that. And there was a moment when I went to the sushi restaurant by the shore, and the owner of this restaurant, he captured fish in the morning and cooked at the night. So, okay, let's take this idea to the game. So we pulled that idea into the game, so we made a player capture fish during the daytime and sell it and cook it at night. So we completely divided two. We based on the real life experience.
Thank you for the talk. It was really interesting.
Thank you.
My question is, as a designer, you mentioned that you chose to give more mechanics rather than go into each mechanic completely. Like, what was the user feedback regarding that? Did they want more complexity in these mechanics, or did they want more mechanics overall?
That's a good question. Frankly speaking, to be very honest, we are not confident that we can make a very deep mechanic because we didn't have a good experience on Janla. So I know some people feel Dave the Diver is very shallow, but that's intended. But we cannot just make, so one of my favorite games is Yakuza Like a Dragon. So this game is very, our game structure is very similar to Yakuza. I'm not saying the Yakuza game is shallow, but they don't intentionally not making things very deep. But instead, they have good story, and they put a lot of like mini games and side quests and build a very like complete world for them. So we try to take this idea for the Dave the Diver. So when we first started testing or early access, people told us they, there's too many things. It's too overwhelming. I want to play capturing fish and then play the sushi tycoon, but we keep giving them new things. It's very tiring and too much. So during early access, we did a lot of pacing. Okay, so for example, we had a farming element. So we put at the beginning because we want to make user cook a different dish with the plant and fish, but people didn't like it because they need to learn new things before they get used to the core mechanic. So we paced it out, so move this farm element to far. So because we are the developer who playing this game every day, so we get used to this mechanic very easily, but not for users, right? So in this case, I think listen to users is very important to pace the game. Okay,
Hi, thank you for the talk.
Thank you.
So I had a question. Were there any systems or mini games you had in the game that you liked, but you had to scrap? And why?
Okay, so yeah, there's quite a lot. Okay, we try not to harm good fish. That's very weird, but we try not to harm dolphin or, yeah. So there's some mini game that we play with the dolphin, like ride dolphin and move around, but it felt like we are abusing animals. So, I mean, it's kind of weird, I know. We kill shark every day, but we just keep the dolphin safe. So, but there's some idea with the whale, dolphin, but we scrapped it. We just try to protect these good fish, and instead of that, we just kill bad fish. I know it sounds weird, but yeah.
Hi, thank you for the talk.
Thank you.
When you started designing the game, what was the first idea of monetizing the game? Like just selling the game, because a lot of games in the similar genre have a different monetization model where they have in-app purchases and stuff. So how did you come up with this current monetization model? And did you give a thought to in-app purchases and stuff?
Okay, so me and my team's background is mostly free-to-play game and live ops. So, I mean, these are all good games. I love those like online games. But the weakest part of the online game is there's no character, the strong character, because you become a character, right? But we all remember Mario or Kiryu from Like a Dragon. Because this is very, we are playing this game, role-playing game. So when we first designed this game, we wanted to have a character. That's why this is Dave the Diver as a character at the top. So in this case, if we put multiplayer element in it, we have to make players become a character. They kind of like lessen our strength. So when we decide to make a character-focused game, that kind of define our business model too.